today's show, I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own tiger coils. In order to do so, you're going to need a few things, starting with a set of Allen keys, a wire cutter, pliers, a drill of some type, preferably electric, a bench vise, preferably one that you can clamp into the side of whatever table you're using so you can change positions. And also the wire I'll be using today is a round Canthal 26 gauge and also a Canthal ribbon wire. There are a few other things you might need. If you want to record it, you might want to have a macro lens on your camera so you can film details of how you're making your build. Or if you're going to be put on YouTube like I am, you might need two cameras just so you can get all the angles right, which is going to be very interesting because it's my first time filming any of this. And then a good rule of thumb is to not be wearing any rings or dangly things like necklaces, because if that gets caught in that wire, bad things can happen. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove your dangly things. So the watch has got to go. And the next thing we'll do is we'll set up our wiring rig. So what you're going to want to do is have it set up something like this. You're going to want to have your drill in a position on something soft, slightly elevated off the table so that it kind of matches the height of your bench vise. Pro tip for your bench vise is you're going to want to find like some old mail to slip underneath it. That way you don't end up damaging your table when you fasten that vise to it so that it's securely in place. And you'll have to adjust the distance between the two depending upon how long a wire you cut. So that's the next step. We'll cut the wire. Now you're going to want to be careful when working with wire because it tends to want to unspool itself off the deck because it's got a lot of springiness to it. So what you want to do first when you get off there, keep your finger on there so it doesn't unspool by accident and you have to wind it back on. And as you pull it off, just kind of try and keep it straight, like so. Get a little pull. And then you measure it out. I'm going to want about 8 inches. So put the 8 mark on the ruler, like that. Take my finger. This is not easy to film. Your fingers give it a pinch. Where you want to clip it. And just give it a cut. Like that. And then, of course, when you put this back on the spool, make sure you put it back through the hole on the spool. So that it doesn't want to unwind. Like so. You got your first piece of wire cut. This is 26 gauge round Canthal. Next we'll cut the ribbon wire. Nice and flat. Just keep smoothing with your fingers. And then measure 8 inches for that. Right there. Give her a snip. Like that. Always keeping this secure with your fingers so it doesn't jump off the spool. Just hook it back on right there. The next thing you want to do is put a couple of L-bends into your wires, because when inserting them in the drill, the chuck has these reliefs in it, and you want to put those in the reliefs of the chuck. So make sure you have it wide enough, first of all. Make sure you got them centered when you tighten it down. And they're centered in the chuck. And tighten it down. Ooh. There we go. Keeping them centered, like so. And next thing we'll do is when we put them in the vise, we'll line them up so that they wind properly. So that's what we'll do next. As you can see, I now have the drill in position. I have the wire nice and straight in the vise. So I'm going to go ahead and start slowly twisting this wire, making sure to keep tension on it as I go so that it spools up correctly. So just a little bit at a time. Keep tension on the wire. You can start to see a pattern emerge. Fuck. It just snapped. So as you can see from the video footage before, my wire snapped on the end, which for me is not a deal breaker. I'm just going to offset it slightly in the drill so that it stays in the chuck. Keep it tight like that. You can start over from the beginning, but I don't think this will really affect it much. So keeping tension on it again, going to start winding it slowly. Now let's take the macro lens and take a closer look at what's going on. With the macro lens on, we can see that that wire is twisted just about perfect. So we'll take it off of here and we'll start winding it into a coil. When using an Allen key, you want to start off by putting that wire right on the bridge here of the shorter part of the Allen key. Give you a bit of leverage. And then you just bring it around like so. And keep it tight because it's going to want to spring away from you. Keep hanging onto that L bend and keep tension against that vise. That vise is going to be your friend for keeping that wire tight. And just keep wrapping it around. Keep it nice and tight, like so. Don't worry if you got spacing. Spacing is fine for coils. Keep wrapping it. Keep that tight. Keep that tension tight. See how I got it tight against that vise? Like so. So what do we got so far? We got 4. Got 5. Got 6 wraps right there. Do a little extra turn. Back it off. There. 6 wraps on that coil. 4 millimeter inside diameter. You can see now it's staying in place. You take your clipper, like so. And there you go. 6 wraps, tiger coil. This is one of the easiest coils you can build because it just requires 2 strands of wire and just a twist. So let's see what this looks like on a deck. Alrighty, now that we're back up on top, let's take a look at what I've done here. Got it mounted, got it juiced up, got it ready to go. It's only going to be one side, so to combat that, I put a little tape on the side of the cap. So I'll just have the one airflow on the side. So I'll set that up like that. Right, all right. The juice we're using today is Air Factory Wild Apple. It is 0 grams of nicotine. Stuff is delicious. Let's test it out for the first time. Good cloud. I can't speak today. Good cloud production for a 0.92 ohm coil. And the reason for that is, like I've said in other videos, cloud production and even flavor has more to do with surface area than it actually has to do with wattage. Now, it is true if you increase the surface area with like a flat coil build that you're going to need more wattage, but again, surface area is the key. And then you saw how I had that coil spaced out, like they weren't touching each other, they had a little bit of space in them. That also aids in the flavor. And this is a pretty flavorful coil. And at 0.92 ohms of resistance, that battery is going to last hours and hours. So with a build like this, a Tiger coil using the 26 gauge Kanthal and the Kanthal ribbon wire, you can make a delicious coil that's pretty easy to build, that'll make your battery last, most of the day. And yeah, it's great. It tastes great. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this coil build. I wouldn't necessarily call it a tutorial because I do not have enough experience to teach anyone to actually build coils. In fact, that's the first Tiger coil I've ever built. So you went along with me on this misadventure. So maybe you'll join me in my next misadventure when I attempt to build another coil. I hope you do. I hope you subscribe and hit that notification bell on the right side of the screen. And join me in the next adventures of coil building. And until next time, you know what to do. Later, vapors.